All right, let's talk about it. One of the biggest, most debated, and honestly, most confusing topics in the entire gym. Rep speed. How fast should you be lifting? How slow? We've all seen that guy, right? The one doing those super slow, agonizing reps, totally convinced he's unlocked the secret to muscle growth. But is he right? Well, today we are cutting through all that noise. We're going to dive into the latest science to give you the actual truth.
You've heard this 1,000 times, haven't you? From a trainer, in a magazine, from the biggest dude in the gym. This idea that to get bigger, you gotta go slower. But is that really how our muscles work? Is a stopwatch seriously the most important tool you should have in your gym bag? Let's find out. And this right here is the core of the myth. It's this piece of gym folklore that's been passed down for what feels like forever. And you know, the logic kinda makes sense on the surface. Make the muscle work longer, it has to get bigger to adapt. It's a really simple, attractive idea. But as we're about to see, the real story is a whole lot more interesting.
Okay, so before we can bust this myth, we need to get on the same page. What does time under tension actually mean? Let's break it down real quick.
It really is that simple. Time under tension, or TUT, is basically just a stopwatch for your set. From the second you start lifting the weight to the second you finish your very last rep, we're just asking, how long were your muscles actually fighting against that weight? That number, that total time, that's your time under tension. Now, you might see trainers or programs use this weird 4-digit code. It's called tempo, and it looks like a secret password, but I promise it's super straightforward. The first number is how many seconds you take to lower the weight. That's the eccentric. The second is any pause at the bottom. The third is how long it takes you to lift the weight, the concentric, and the last one is any pause at the top. So if you see 4020 on a bench press, it just means a 4-second negative, no pause on your chest, a 2-second press up, and no rest at the top. Simple as that.
All right, so we've got the basics down. Now, this is where the story gets really interesting. For years, everybody in the bodybuilding world was obsessed with cranking up that total time. But when researchers finally put this whole idea under the microscope, well, what they found surprised a lot of people.
Yeah, the old school thinking was just more time equals more growth. Easy. But that's not how science works, right? We have to actually test these ideas. So, what happens when you pull together all the best research on rep speed and muscle growth and look at the big picture?
This slide says it all. What we're looking at are 2 huge meta-analyses, and that just means they're studies of other studies, basically the highest level of evidence we've got. The first big one from 2015 looked at reps ranging from a super fast half-second all the way up to a slow 8-second rep. In the conclusion, muscle growth was pretty much the same across that entire range. The newest analysis from 2025, it says the same thing. The effect of your tempo is minimal.
So here is the big takeaway, the thing I really want you to remember. Forget the dogma. There isn't one magic rep speed. If your rep takes anywhere from half a second to 8 seconds to complete, you are right in the money, right in the hypertrophy sweet spot. This should feel like a huge weight off your shoulders. You have options.
But, and this is a big but, there is a limit. The research is pretty clear that when you start dragging out your reps for longer than 10 seconds, it actually becomes less effective for building muscle. And why is that? Well, think about it. To make a weight take that long to lift, you have to use a much, much lighter weight. So even though your muscles are under tension for a long time, the tension itself, the actual force, is just too low to be a strong signal for growth.
So this brings us to the big question, right? If it's not the stopwatch, if it's not just about time, then what is the true king of muscle growth? What's the one thing you absolutely have to focus on in your training?
It all comes down to this one single, powerful word, effort. The number one driver of muscle growth isn't how long your set takes, it's how hard you push that set. It's all about the intensity and the challenge you create. And the science behind this is so cool. It's called Henneman's size principle. Just think of your muscle fibers like a team of workers. When a job is easy, like lifting something light, your brain only calls in the small endurance-focused workers, the type 1 fibers. But as the job gets harder, as the weight gets heavier or you get more tired, your brain has to call in the big guns, the larger, stronger type 2 fibers. And guess which ones have the most potential to grow? Yep, the big ones.
So how do we make sure we're calling in those big guns? Well, there are 2 main ways. You can lift a really heavy weight which demands so much force that they have to show up from the very first rep, or you can take a lighter weight and do reps until those smaller fibers get totally exhausted, forcing the big ones to jump in and save the day.
See the common theme? In both cases, the secret ingredient is training with high effort and getting close to muscular failure. That's the on switch for growth.
Okay, let's get practical. We know effort is king, and we know that a whole range of tempos can work. So this doesn't mean tempo is useless. Not at all. It just means we need to stop thinking about slower reps and start thinking about smarter reps. How can we design each individual rep to get the absolute biggest bang for our buck?
Here's the blueprint. A rep has two parts, right? Lifting it up and lowering it down. And we want to treat them differently. For the concentric, the lifting part, your goal is one thing: explosive intent. You should try to move that weight as fast as you possibly can while keeping your form perfect. That's what maximizes force and gets the most muscle fibers involved. Then on the eccentric, the lowering part, your goal is control. This is where tempo really shines. Aim for a nice, smooth 2 to 4 second negative. That creates a ton of muscle damage and tension. Both are powerful signals for growth.
And get this, the science on controlling that eccentric is getting crazy specific and pretty exciting. We're learning that it's not just about overall growth anymore. We can actually use it as a tool to target development in specific ways.
Check this out. There was this recent study where they had people squat with 2 different tempos. One group did a fast 1-second descent. The other group did a slow, controlled 4-second descent. After 7 weeks, the overall quad growth was about the same in both groups. But, and this is the cool part, the group that used the slow eccentric saw way more growth in the outer part of their quad, the part that gives you that nice sweep. So the lesson is, controlling that negative can be a super powerful tool for shaping a muscle.
All right, let's put it all together into a simple plan. We've busted the myth that slower is always better. We've crowned effort as the real king of growth, and we've figured out how to build a much smarter rep. So here is your new, science-backed blueprint you can take with you to the gym tomorrow.
It's just 4 simple rules. Number 1, explode up. On the lifting part, be as fast and powerful as you can. Number 2, control down. Own that negative. Lower the weight smoothly over 2 to 4 seconds. 3, train hard. This is the big one. It's non-negotiable. You have to take your sets close to failure. That's where the magic happens. And finally, number 4, forget the stopwatch. Seriously, stop obsessing over the total time and start focusing on the quality and the effort of every single rep.
So there you have it. You are now officially armed with the knowledge to train smarter, not just harder or slower. The real power isn't in the clock. It's in your intent and your effort. So, knowing this, I'm going to turn the question over to you. What's one thing you're going to focus on in your very next workout? Drop a comment below and let us know.
Hey, if this explainer helped clear things up for you and gave you a new tool for your training, do us a huge favor and hit that like button. And of course, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive into the science of getting stronger. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.